Hi everyone, Dan here from The Geek Physique and with my awesome client Marin. He's just finished his first 8 weeks with us, and we're just going to go through where he's been out on his journey, where he's come from, and some things he's learned along the way, and go through his wins at the end. So let's go through from the start, Marin. Where were you at before you started with us?
I had maybe in the totality of my life done maybe 2 to 3 weeks stretches of working out, never nothing structured, serious, or backed up with nutrition either. And I was pretty much at zero, pretty much at zero.
Got you. And I remember you said to me, like, when we first spoke, that you were kind of stopping and starting, like you would do it for a little bit and then you'd get off it. You'd do it for a little bit, you'd get off it.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah, but I do a lot more intense. I don't know where I expected my character and drive to come from, but I do a whole daily thing once a day and then see how long it lasted. And that never lasted. So
Got you. Got you. And what would you say you struggled with most um at that time?
before this, yeah, keeping myself motivated, and also keeping myself organized and doing it at a normal time. Like I'd miss workouts and then go at 1 in the morning and then fuck up my whole day next day. Apologies. But yeah, so there was a just disorganized life, disorganized body, everything, and no training. No, I didn't have any metric to gauge how I was improving or where I was or uh,
Right.
yeah, there was no tracker, so to speak. Um,
Got
yeah.
you. Got you. And you touched on some really key points for me there, man. Like you talked about like accountability, knowing where you're at, like going kind of from zero to hero. You said like, oh, I went full blast for a day and then I couldn't really sustain it. So working together, how do you think you've overcome that? What was helpful in overcoming some of those things?
Well, of course, the big systems that you have in place were great. The tracker that allows me on every time I was walking up to the gym, I load up my workout. I know immediately what I'm hitting. I go straight to that machine when I come in, and before I go to the machine, I see already the rep range I did last time and the weight I did last time, so I can immediately adjust to that. I can also see the last three iterations of that session. I've done the same weight, so I maybe bump it up a little bit. It's been very in and out of the gym much more quickly, and I come in, do what needs doing, and it's very efficient. The meal tracker is a bit of a trial in self-discipline still, but at least I'm a bit more conscious of what 2,800 calories looks like, and then I'm kind of trying to, like, even if I'm not recording, keep myself to an acceptable range. And of course, most notably, what's helped is having the weekly sort of accountability catch ups with you, but also having a PT person that actually knows what the process looks like and cares. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Got you. And one thing I should say, just on the food thing, because Marin raises an important point there. One thing that I think a lot of guys, and I know we spoke about this when we first had our call. You said, Dan, don't you have to like train all the time? Don't you have to eat like loads and loads? And we went through how you were eating then, and just kind of tell some of the viewers like how were you eating before and how are you eating now? Because like you said, right? You said I'm a work in progress, right? The training's going well, the accountability is helpful, but the food you're still trying to get a hold of that. It's not
Yeah.
perfect, but it's much better than it was, right? So where were you at before we started food wise?
Well, I wasn't really eating at all, to be honest. I spent a lot of time indoors with my own time and working and doing art and doing whatever, and I kind of lose track of daylight and what a normal eat, sleep, and work cycle should be. And so I've been kind of unconsciously starving myself for many years. And so in the first couple of weeks of the session, when motivation was high and everything was involved, I can't describe how different I felt, having 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, cooked all myself, figured out that in 30 minutes in the kitchen I can make meals for 2 days was stupidly obvious, but still a revolutionary breakthrough for me.
I love
And
it.
of course, I was 4 kilos when I started, before we started, and I'm 80, 81, 82 now. That's huge for me. I've never been 80, and I'm looking forward to hit. 100 soon.
So you said, sorry, you went quite a bit there. So you said 74 at the start, and now you're
Now I'm
81.
about 81 even on an empty stomach, which is nice, which is nice. I'm very happy with that.
That's
Very
amazing,
happy.
man. That's
That's a
amazing.
big,
And you've already touched on some of this, like you touched on some of the, the tracker, the app that we have, the coaching app. You touched on some of the accountability. What are your thoughts just on the coaching as a whole?
as a whole. The whole program is nice. It's welcoming. There's no real blockers, but I like how quickly you get into it. And also, I I think the main takeaway for other people maybe watching this or thinking about getting into it is you'll get good pointers from Dan, but you gotta pick up responsibility and get the protein and get the protein bars if you can't trust yourself to fill in your protein intake. You got to figure out how to cook, no matter how much you hate it. Realize, get over your own stupidity, and really come to terms with there's certain things you got to do every day, no matter what. I've luckily, I mean, I've had other priorities in my life over this period, but just the results after the first 4 weeks have put training in my mind at the top of the list of what brings me joy and what brings me happiness and success, because I'm watching myself grow. Let me tell you, I've never felt this good coming out of a shower. So like it's very happy. So now I just need to equate the food element of it as well, which I already make the logical connection. That's the next step to start really filling in. But I'm watching my reps grow. I'm watching my weights grow. I'm seeing women looking, it's lovely. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's I think I found a habit for life, to be honest.
Mate, there's one thing I want to say this for the viewers. Like one of the biggest wins for me doing this is giving better people better habits and better life choices for life, right? The results are great, of course. Like that's why a lot of us are here, right? But one of the things that I love the gym for personally is it's like an anchor for me when everything else is going like terribly in life. It's the
Mhm.
one thing more than anything in my experience, and I feel like this is what you've just said, where you have control over it. Do you know what I mean? It's yours. It's not someone
Yeah,
else's. It's not your bosses. It's not your partners or your families or whoever. It's your thing, and there's so much power in that.
100. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome, man. So what I'd like to do now is just do like a quick screen share and go through some of your wins, if that's all right, because I've got some tabs open from our tracking. And we'll start with your weight. So you already touched upon this, but let me share my screen so everyone can see it. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen, man.
Yep, I see it.
Cool. So this is a nice snake, and Marin's heard me say this a lot, but I always say about you want your snake to be trending in the right direction, because guys, it's your weight's going to fluctuate, right? And a lot of people miss this. They step on the scale and they think all my progress has gone. And for Marin, he's been bulking up, so he's been snaking upwards, and you can see, there's big dips in some places, and there's different reasons for that. Sometimes you do all the right things and your weight might dip, or if you're trying to lose weight, you do all the right things and your weight might spike. It could be stress, could be water, whatever it is. So important to track your weights frequently, as Marin's been doing. You get a good snake, and you can see, he said right at the start of 74, that's his first recorded weight in week 1. And then he said he's just been 81 today, I think he said, but he's hovering around the 80 mark, which, like he said, is the first point in his life. So how are you feeling about your weight changes, Marin?
Really good. Really good. Really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And the next thing, I think this is even cooler, right? So measurements. I love seeing measurement changes, because even pictures can sometimes show us a lot, but even then it's marginal differences. It's the measurements which can really show mad changes. So this is a comparison from the first week for Marin, and then just last week he did his measurements for me, and you can see his chest was 33.1. It's gone up over 4 inches, right? That is mental. That is absolutely mental in 8 weeks, right? Hips have grown as well. and that will be the measurement around your bum, right? So his glutes have
Yeah.
grown as well.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't think my ass was flat. Apparently it was. I'm very happy with that as well.
Love it. I love it. And then your arms, right? Let's go through your arms because it orders alphabetically, but let's look at arms. So your left arm was 11 inches. You got an inch, nearly an inch and a half of growth on the left arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got uh an inch and a half, over an inch and a half on the right arm. Like that is awesome, bro. Like
Yep.
arms can be quite a stubborn body part for some people, so that's great. And then legs, very similar as well. Marin is very tall. How tall are you, Marin?
6'7".
6'7". So that's a big frame, guys. Like that's, you can imagine once you, as you start to fill that out, the changes are going to look mad, right? And then if we continue along, you can see his shoulders. He's gone up from 44.7 to 46.4. Just mad changes. And his waist, like it went up slightly, but it's actually gone back down. And this is what you might find, guys, is when you're trying to gain muscle, you might see your waist increase slightly, but you can play with, and we'll do this, Marin, together. You can play with how much you're happy with your waist growing versus how much weight you want to put on. Because what you can do is when you get to a certain size where you don't want your waist to get any bigger, you can start maintaining your weight and just still push your reps, push your numbers, and then maintain. Your waist might reduce just through maintenance. It can do for some people, or you can always do a small cut, and then you can go back to bulking, and you just do kind of this process and move up over time. But how are you feeling about the measurement changes, Marin?
Very happy, of course. The 4-week one, I told you how over the moon I was. I basically told my whole family and extended bloodline. It's a very big moment for me and everyone involved. And and as you said, it's not just the changes, it's how I feel. And I feel pretty fucking great after gym, after just having gym in my life is good. But measurements wise, especially waist wise, for example, I think I'm a pretty skinny guy, I always was. And I don't actually recall any measurements in, or any exercises in your plan that are specifically targeting abs, but I'm definitely noticing like ab changes, like under a layer of skin I can feel abs forming, which is like something I'd like to focus on in the future as well. But just I'm happy with everything. I'm happy.
I love it, man. I love it. And just on that quick note on that, so a lot of our guys, including Marin, train 3 times a week full body, and it can be super effective if you've got an optimized plan. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is abs mostly are made in the kitchen, and ab training can be helpful, but a lot of people, especially when they do compound lifts, like your big presses, your squats, deadlifts, rows, anything where you're using a lot of muscles at a time, and you have to brace, you have to kind of make that, you have to hold tension in your body. That's going to be passively training your abs anyway. So what a lot of people find, especially when they're as lean as you, because Marin was always similar to me, skinny before, and he's now lean, he's developing some muscle. You'll find your abs start coming through, even if you don't train them, from just lifting heavy weights. And for some people, they don't ever even have to train their abs because they've got enough development just from all their compound lifts. And then when they're a lean body fat, which you are, Marin, you can see them. But for sure, we can always put some dedicated exercises in as well on top if you want to do that.
Regarding the compound lifts note, I've definitely noticed a huge change in the gym because of that. I remember, for example, the weights I'm lifting now, I remember I was close to when I was just trying things, big ego, trying to lift a lot more than I could. And I was falling over like on rows, like I could not sustain myself upright on a normal row or a normal, yeah. And now it's like the frame stays in the position I put it in. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's really good. Love it. And then the last thing I wanted to go through is just some picture changes, man. So if we pick up your compare, you can see, so this was right at the start, and you can see on the right-hand side, you can see arm development coming thing. You can see lat development down the side. You can even see lower back development, your erector muscles, right? Right at the bottom above your bum. And you can see overall traps and really good back development, man. I love it. I love it. And then the other photo I wanted to see, to compare for you, was your changes on your front on shot as well. I think you've got more overall thickness overall. Like you can see that Marin was always quite lean, but he's just got more overall thickness in all of his muscles. So just more density around the chest. You can see like there was more of a gap, like in between your arms and where your chest is on the left. There's like a more of a gap. Like the arms are slimmer, the chest is smaller, whereas on the right, everything's just more thick and stacked. And one thing you will find, guys, is growing muscle takes a lot longer than losing fat. So if you ever go on a fat loss journey, you would see usually a bigger visual change. But just imagine Marin's changes here, plus his measurements and his weight. Imagine where he's going to be in the next 8 weeks, right? 6 months, a year, right? That's when you start to see some crazy, crazy differences. But how are you feeling about those visual changes? I know you said it's the best you felt walking out the shower in a while.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm so tall, I view myself even when I'm alone up close a lot because that's only how much fits in the mirror, right? But I from photos like this from a distance, I still think I look quite small, quite skinny. But up close for me, I mean, I've been looking at these arms and these chest muscles my whole life, and they've never been this big. But it just means that there's so much more to go still to actually achieve, and it makes me quite excited for what's coming, to be honest.
I love it, man. I love it. And just actually, let's go to what I'm going to do here is go to your results, right? Let's do this because you mentioned your weights, and this is the last thing I wanted to look at. So you can see like Marin at the start was experimenting a little bit. You know, he started out with 40, it was a bit too much for him with the given rep range he was shooting for. So he went down to about 30, 35. And the first week or two, the guys always like, you know, they try out a few things to find the weight that fits them and fits the rep range for the particular exercise. And then he's ended, you know, just yesterday, he's getting 42 and a half, like for a set of 12. And he was getting 30 for 10 when he started. Like that is mental, guys. Like that is some serious change. Again, started on 10 kg dumbbells on incline press and it's ending on 14 for reps of 12. Like you can just see the changes. Something that we worked on actually, which was really helpful for Marin, is he was with his rows, and I see this all the time in the gym. We sacrifice our form for weight on rows, especially. And sometimes you just have to check yourself, lower the weight down, get the control, and then the weight climbs back up, guys. The weight climbs back up. So look at this, right? Marin cut the weight, focused on his form, bang. Yesterday, he's at the weight he tried to go for when he started for 15 reps. Like, you can see all of these changes coming through, you know? If we just go to legs quickly, go to leg press. I remember when you broke the 100 kg on the leg press, and I was gassed for you. Like, that was awesome, man. And you can just see it climbing, guys. Like, similar on the back squat. Like, and squatting is incredibly difficult for people who are tall. Like, all of my friends who are tall always tell me that, you know, they just squat because it's such a long way to go down, isn't it? Such a big range of motion, but like 50 kg for 10, like that's serious. And again, stiff leg deadlift, all of these things, really good, man. You've done really well. Any last remarks you'd like to share on your first 8 weeks, man?
Um, yeah, the trick is now to keep this going without you know making it really subconscious. I've the what you don't, I mean, what you see there if you look at the dates is I'll miss like a Monday session and do it on a Tuesday, and then I'll miss a Friday session and do it on a Sunday, and then follow it up immediately on Monday again. So I guess really spacing it out how you intended, and yeah, just making it subconscious. That's all I need to do, and then the rest is history.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for your hard work over these 8 weeks, and thanks for watching, guys.